I played 100 days of Hardcore Stardew Valley. I did a lot of mod searching in order to find out what I can use to make Stardew Valley more difficult, and these are the major ones I added for this playthrough. First, Survivalistic mod, which adds thirst and hunger meters to my game. I also added Hardcore mines, where monsters appear on the safe levels of the mine. There is also a mod that charges tax and utility bills on the 2nd of every month. Lastly, I put some mods that makes taking care of animals a bit more difficult. All the other mods are listed in the description below. As for the challenge goals, I wanted to complete the community center, marry someone, and earn 1 million total farm earnings within 100 days. Keep watching to see all the chaos and to see if I was able to achieve these goals. I made sure I enabled complete community center in 1 year and picked the hilltop farm for this playthrough, a farm type that I never picked before for the extra challenge. As usual, during the start of a new farm, I took my 15 parsnip seeds and went outside to plant them, before chopping down some trees for wood. I noticed my thirst bar was going down fast, so I crafted raw water from fiber and drank it. I also crafted a chest since my inventory was getting full. In order to save time, I took a screenshot of the area to see where all the forageables are. I went around the map gathering more fiber and collecting all the forageables I could find using this method. One of my early goals was to befriend Caroline. Caroline gives the tea sapling recipe at 2 hearts. This item, when sold, will give us 500 gold each, and it only requires 2 wild seeds, 5 fiber, and 5 wood to craft. This is an easy way to earn good money early game. Luckily, she likes daffodil, which is easy to find. Then, I continued chopping down trees, leaving the stumps. Chopping down a stump gives me 1 experience, while chopping down a tree gives me 12. I needed the extra experience to level up foraging faster. Higher foraging level means reducing the energy needed for a chop. I was eating spring onions for food, but it only gives plus 10 hydration and fullness, so I went to the saloon to buy 3 bread and 10 water. I went back to my farm to continue chopping down trees. I got distracted here and did not notice that my hunger bar went down to 0, and I started to panic by how fast my energy depleted. In my panic, I ended up eating a precious 120 gold bread. I had the hungry status effect for a few more seconds even after eating the bread, which took a lot of my energy, so I had to eat 1 more spring onion. I didn't want to use up any more food, so I switched to collecting some fiber before heading to bed. I leveled up my foraging, which means I can collect seeds from trees and craft some field snacks. On the 2nd day, I combined my forageables into 10 wild seeds. I watered my parsnips, then collected spring onions. I went back to my farm and expanded the farming area for my wild seeds. I wanted to convert it into more wild seeds and eventually tea saplings. After that, I headed to the beach to get Willy's rod and went to the mountain lake near the mines. I find the fish here easier to catch while I still have low fishing skills, so I always fish here until I increased a few levels of my fishing skill. At 5 PM, I already had plenty of catch, but I wanted to continue. I confirmed that my fishing level has increased to 1. This means I can continue fishing until I pass out without having energy penalty. I also had 90 gold, which means I will only lose 9 gold or 10% of it. And so, I decided to continue fishing until 2 AM, eating chops and spring onions to refill my energy, thirst, and hunger bars. At 1:50 AM, I had 5 algae, 20 fish, and some extra items. I put everything I could in my backpack and found a place to sleep under a tree. It was raining on the 3rd day, so I did not need to water my plants. I started selling some of the fish I caught and stored all the chops for food and the ones I need for the community center in my chest. I decided to test my skills by trying to catch a catfish with fishing level 2. It proved to be difficult at my current fishing level, so I gave up and left it for another day. I was starting to run out of spring onions, so I decided that I should make some field snacks. I needed more pine and maple seeds for it, and I could not, for all my hours of playing Stardew, remember what is an oak and what is a maple tree. So I just chopped both of these trees down. Of course, I just got more acorn seeds. So I decided to get my chubs to serve as my emergency food. I started to get annoyed and worried about my food supply and energy level. So I just used my scythe around the farm to get more fiber before heading to bed for the night. The next day, I watered my crops, then I collected spring onions, then started chopping some maple trees for the seeds and wood, making sure I don't let my character go thirsty or hungry. I ended up collecting 4 maple seeds in total before I headed to Pierre's to buy some crops. I bought 1 bean starter, 2 cauliflowers, and 2 potato seeds. My chest at the farm was getting full, so it was time to craft another one for fish. I assigned it the color blue and transferred all my fish there. After my inventory was a bit more organized, I went fishing and got a good haul, including a bream from the forest river. Day 5, I got mail from Joja stating that the mines are finally opened. I got my first parsnip harvest and I kept them in my backpack. It is Friday, so I went to the traveling merchant to see if they have red cabbage crop or seed. Fortunately, they are not selling one since I was broke anyway. I proceeded to collect my food supply before heading to Pierre's. Once I reached Pierre's, I sold 14 parsnips. I kept one for the community center, then used all the profit to buy as much potato seeds as I can. Good thing it was raining that day, so no need to water them. This left me with more energy to start exploring the mines. I headed down the stairs, ready to conquer the mines, when I realized I did not bring my pickaxe. Frustrated, I went back to my farm to grab my pickaxe, wasting 2 hours in-game time. In the mines, I aimed on breaking ores and this specific rock, since those are the ones that will give me mining experience. I got disoriented at level 10 because I forgot I had a mod called HARDCORE Mines. Instead of getting better gear or sword at every 10th level, I get boss fights. The bug that I got at level 10 seemed to not be keen on attacking me, so I just slashed away with my sword until I killed it. It gave me stairs and a chest spawned containing 3 pieces of yam. I went home and crafted another chest and colored it black for the items I gather in the mines. That day I leveled up my farming, meaning I can craft scarecrows. I also got 45 gold from selling 1 fish. On day 6, Clint came over to give me blueprints for a furnace. I also got mail from Marlon, challenging me to slay 10 green slimes. I went to water my crops and collect spring onions. I got some leeks on the way to the mines and stocked up on chubs before attempting to go to level 15. The trip was quite easy, so I tried to push it to level 20. At level 16, I found a dwarf scroll, but the level was also infested. I decided to tactically retreat to save on food and prevent death. I fished until midnight before heading to bed. The next day, I went outside and was immediately frustrated because I forgot to craft a scarecrow and the crow ate one of my potatoes. I crafted and placed one before checking the traveling merchant who did not have any red cabbage. I bought 5 more potato seeds from Pierre, which I planted and watered at the farm. Since it is a new week, I gave a daffodil to Caroline. Then I went back to the mountain and moved my chest to the mines, where I was not expecting a fire-breathing dino to greet me at level 20. I only had my rusty sword with me, but I decided it's worth trying to kill it. I ran around like a maniac, slashing my sword everywhere and eating all my raw fish supply. However, I was running out of food, so I decided to retreat. Feeling defeated, I took my frustration out on tree stumps in my farm. I didn't want to spend more energy and food, so I smelted some copper ores and headed to sleep. I upgraded my foraging to level 3, so the next day, I looked into making some tappers. I needed copper bars, so I started smelting more copper ores. I then watered my crops, then I finally unlocked the community center cutscene. I went inside to look at the strange markings to unlock the next part of the quest. I wanted to get fish to sell and some chubs to use as my food supply. I fished until late at night, using my chest inside the mines as temporary storage. By the end of the night, I caught 16 fish in total. I kept most of it, but sold 8 fish for 512 gold. I live streamed all of the gameplay footage shown in this this video on Twitch, and starting day 9, I decided to turn crowd control on. Crowd control is a Twitch extension that lets the viewers summon monsters, give or take away money, energy, and health. It was a bad decision. I rearranged my house by putting the bed and TV near the door to make things more efficient. As expected, I got a mail from the wizard saying they have information concerning the old community center. Then, I harvested the forageables and parsnips before going down to the forest to gather a dandelion and 19 spring onions. I gave Caroline her daffodil, then headed back to the farm to plant 10 more wild seeds. Afterwards, I headed down to the mines. I was already at level 22 when I started getting hungry, so I stopped to eat some spring onions when someone took all my money using crowd control. I had 0 gold left. Someone summoned a bat at level 29, but I was able to fend it off with my pro mouse click spamming and found the stairs to level 30. There, I was greeted by a giant brown slime and almost got killed, but I was able to run to the stairs and leave the mine safely. I completely forgot about the wizard, but I earned 175 gold from my parsnips that day. On spring 10, Marnie showed up at my door with a cat. I decided to adopt it and name it Tanky Bells, named after Tanky, our cat in real life. I ate 2 spring onions for breakfast, harvested 2 potatoes, and watered my crops. I kept the potatoes for the community center, then smelted more copper. The wizard gave me a potion enabling me to read the language of the Junimos. I gathered 12 spring onions before heading to the community center, where I immediately completed the spring foraging bundle, getting 30 more wild seeds as a reward and unlocking the pantry and fish tank areas. I also gave a parsnip and a potato to the spring crops bundle. After that, I continued down the mines to my most hated levels. Everything is so dark. Normally, I would have gotten a better sword at level 20. However, since I have the Hardcore Mines mod, I did not get any. So my suffering here was even worse, damaging enemies by only 1 health point each time I swung my rusty sword. I was able to go down all the way to level 35. Then, I did some late night fishing at the mountain in hopes of finding more food. I got 3 chubs, 3 bullheads, and 1 carp. I went to bed feeling good from having a productive day. The next day, I got a quest from Robin asking me to find her favorite axe. I harvested 10 potatoes and watered my remaining crops. I then went to the forest to get Robin's axe before going to the mines. I started from level 35 and was able to reach level 37 easily. Here, I struggled with a bat and my hunger and energy bars. I wanted to eat a job, but of course, I accidentally clicked on the stairs to get out the mines. Disappointed at myself, I started over from level 35. I encountered a Dusk Sprite boss level at level 40 and decided, against my better judgment, to try and kill it. I bravely wielded my rusty sword from 5:10 p.m. up to 9:40 p.m. but ultimately met my demise while I was not paying attention to my health. Fortunately, I had such little money that the game did not take any more from me. I only lost bat wings from my backpack too. I decided to spend the rest of the night fishing to forget about my frustration. I didn't get a single fish, but it was getting late, so I went back home defeated. I fell asleep dreaming of a better day. Louis reminded me that it was the egg festival tomorrow and I only had 175 gold. I started to panic and crafted as much wild seeds as I could. I also took my potatoes and unnecessary fish and sold them all. I wanted to keep the wild seeds for tea saplings, but I needed money to buy strawberry seeds. I also sold off my extra minerals, choosing profit over completing the town's museum. I watered my crops, then checked the traveling merchant for any red cabbage, and they don't have any. I foraged my favorite food and a dandelion, then decided to at least give some artifacts to the museum. Gunther rewarded me with 9 cauliflower seeds. I returned Robin's axe and got 500 gold in total from my journal quests. I went home to plant my cauliflower, then spent the rest of the day fishing, which I mostly sold except for food. I earned around 6,000 gold from everything I sold. The day of the egg festival came. I had raw fish for breakfast instead of the regular spring onion because I needed extra energy to win. I was planning to buy 61 strawberry seeds with my money, but the crowd had other plans, removing 1,000 coins from me. I watered my crops and harvested 6 potatoes, then lost another 1,000 coins. I gathered 8 spring onions before heading to the festival. I I was only able to buy 41 strawberry seeds and went on to compete with the other kids. Of course, I won the festival with 11 eggs and got a straw hat as my prize. I was barely able to plant and water all my strawberries before passing out beside my scarecrow. I woke up to a mail from Dad sending me 500 gold. I watered my plants and harvested one green bean. It was a struggle watering all of my crops with my hunger bar always getting low and my water supply being so far away. But I still decided to make 10 more spring seeds and plant them since I was worried that my profit will not be enough. I then saw that I had another mail from Harvey, billing me with the last 3 gold that I had because I passed out last night. I sold my 5 potatoes, then went to the mine. I reached level 45 with no problems, but decided to spend the rest of my time in the lower levels. I wanted to unlock Adventurer's Guild by slaying 10 green slimes. Luckily, I got an infested level at level 26, completed the quest, and was then able to enter the Adventurer's Guild, wanting to buy a better weapon with my 0 gold. On the way home, I saw Caroline chilling under a tree, so I gave her a daffodil. I checked the traveling cart but still no red cabbage. I spent the rest of the day cleaning my farm before heading to bed, earning 420 from crops. Spring 15 is the start of salmon berry season. I needed immediate food supply, so I started collecting them today. But you can choose to just collect them all on the 18th on your own playthroughs. I made some tree tappers and more wild seeds, then gathered everything I could sell and sold them to Pierre, earning 500 gold. I gave daffodil to Caroline, then went to Wheelies to sell my fish products, getting 220 more gold. I had enough money, so I went back to the guild and finally got myself a pirate sword. I went down to level 40 to test my new sword and defeated a bug, which gave me 3 meads. I was able to reach level 50 easily with my new weapon and even defeated another bug boss for a sunflower, which we need for the community center. I sold 2 of the mead before sleeping. Next morning, I harvested my forageables and I turned some of them into 10 more wild seeds and kept the rest. I made another furnace and started smelting some iron ore. I then went to the community center to give some items. I put oyster and mussel on the crab pot bundle, sardine on the ocean fish bundle, these 3 into the lake fish bundle, and bream on the night fishing bundle. I also completed the spring crows bundle, which gave me 20 speed grow and unlocked the boiler room. I headed to the mines collecting all the salmon berries on the way, then went straight to level 50. There, I encountered the most annoying boss fight against a ghost. It took so long to get one hit in since it gets pushed back with every hit. It took almost 7 hours to kill it. I knew I should have given up at some point, but I became committed to it. I only got blackberry as a reward, which added salt to the wound. I was only at level 53 when I noticed I am out of time, so I had to head home and call it a day. Day 17, I made another chest for forageables. I have now been eating salmon berries instead of spring onions. I spent the day chopping down trees and harvesting salmon berries. At the end of my round, I had 51 salmon berries, 163 wood, fiber, and some forageables. I made 4 field snacks, then saw it was an unlucky day, so I just continued foraging and fishing for the rest of the day. I earned 500 gold from the fish. Day 18, I watered my crops, foraged spring onions, and gathered a few salmon berries. I forgot today was the last day of salmon berries and did not get all of them. However, I did end up with a total of 96 berries in my backpack. After that, I went to the mines and defeated a giant slime at level 50 and got 2 duck mayonnaise from it. I got thirsty and my energy bar went down to 0 and I became sluggish. All my meters were getting low, so I ate some food and headed to bed. Jody sent me a mail next day asking for some cauliflower for a recipe. I did my dailies and went to the traveling merchant, but there was nothing worth buying. I then randomly checked the bulletin board and saw that Harvey wanted a dandelion. It seemed like an easy enough quest, so I accepted it and tried to find Harvey inside his clinic, but he was not there. I thought it was gonna be another forgotten quest, so I went inside Pierre's to befriend Caroline. There, I witnessed everyone leaving Pierre for Jojo's sale. To my surprise, when the cutscene was over, Harvey was at the store, so I gave him his dandelion. Hey, what do you know? I can complete a quest after all. Caroline was not there though, so I went to Jodis to give her a cauliflower for her recipe. I saw Caroline randomly while digging trash cans, so I was able to say hi before I headed to the mines. I reached level 60 at 12:50 a.m. and hurried home. I barely made it to bed. I encountered a ghost at level 60, but I have learned my lesson and decided it's not worth it to kill a ghost, so I sneaked past it and made it to level 70 where I was greeted by a dino. I was not interested in dying, so I retreated and went to bed. The next day, the strawberries were ready for its first harvest. The spring seeds were also ready for harvesting, so I got them all. I sold all strawberries and kept the forageables for later use. I then went to the forest and looked at the traveling merchant and still no red cabbage. The crowd noticed that I forgot to bring my sword, so they took this opportunity to spawn random monsters. Someone hurt me by 50% as well, so I had to eat some food to make sure I don't die. More monsters were summoned as I tried to gather spring onions in peace. I tried to escape to town, but the crowd was not showing me mercy with the more summoned monsters. I juked around the monsters and managed to get a daffodil before retreating back home to grab my sword. Finally able to kill the monsters, I went to the mines. One of the skeletons dropped a bone sword for me at level 73 and I switched it to be my primary weapon. I reached level 79 at 12:40 a.m. and unfortunately, I could not continue to level 80 because of the time. I hurried back home, but I passed out anyway beside my scarecrow. I earned 5,190 gold from strawberries, which means I can now build a coop. Day 22. Someone finally decided to use crowd control to help me with my game and gave me 1,000 coins. I already had plenty of iron bars, so I switched to smelting some quartz, which is needed for quality sprinklers. I asked Robin to build me a coop before I headed down the mines. I reached level 80 this time, fought the bat boss and got 2 jellies as a reward. I then gave Daffodil to Caroline, which got me to level 2 friendship with her. I went inside her tea room and got tea leaves, but the cutscene did not trigger yet. I started to turn my forageables into spring seeds in preparation for tea saplings. I only crafted 20, but there were still some seeds growing on my farm, so I was not worried. I spent the rest of the day foraging and chopping down trees, then earned 60 gold from one oyster. I woke up to 3 letters, one from Dad telling me how proud they are of me and giving me 500 gold, one from Mayor Lewis reminding me to attend the flower dance, and the last from Fernhill Revenue Services, asking me to pay 2,015 gold for income tax and 550 gold for electric bill, which were due by the second day of next season. I harvested the forageables and watered my crops. I had to craft more water from fiber since my thirst bar was depleting fast. After that, I visited Caroline and had some very strong tea with her on the greenhouse. I then foraged some more to get as much wild seeds as I could, then headed to the mines to collect more fiber and start getting some gold. I did not aim to reach level 85, but instead just circled back to level 80 and just focused on using my energy on gold ores. I was able to gather 45 gold ores before I went home for the day and reached level 5 mining. I chose to be a miner for extra ores. Day 24, Caroline finally gave me her tea sapling recipe. I grabbed my wood and fiber and crafted more spring seeds, then made 13 tea saplings. I harvested my 9 cauliflowers, then watered my crops. I collected everything for the boiler room and completed all the bundles, getting me a furnace, small magnet ring, and some omni geodes. This also unlocked the minecarts, which will save us a lot of time. I went back to the farm and got confused as to why Robin was not here, when I remembered it was the Flower Dance Festival. A few seconds later, I collected my geodes and things I can give to the museum, completely forgetting it was the flower dance again. A bit annoyed, I decided to not attend the dance and just use the day to gather wood for more tea saplings. So I went down to Cindersap Forest and unlocked the flower dance cutscene. There, I was rejected by everyone and was forced to stay at the sides while the marriageable NPCs danced with each other. I spent the rest of the night finally chopping down trees to vent some of my frustration out. I slept while the Junimos fixed the minecarts. That day, I earned 1,050 gold from cauliflowers. Day 23 25, I harvested my strawberries and decided to not water them anymore since I did some maths and it will not yield another harvest for this season. I sold all the strawberries, then went to forage some more items before going to Pierre's and upgrading my backpack. I chopped down more trees, finally remembered to sell my tea saplings, and sold it for 15,000 gold. Utilizing the mine carts, I got my copper bars and geodes from home. However, I reached the blacksmith at exactly 4 p.m. and clean doesn't render over time. I collected more fiber and gold ore from the mines. I also encountered the mushroom level and was able to gather 14 red mushrooms. I earned 6,220 gold from strawberries and mushrooms. My coop was finished the next day and I got 100 gold from the quest. Demetrius finally came by to set up a cave and I chose mushrooms so I can have more food supply. I started smelting gold ores for quality sprinklers, then chopped some wood. After that, I checked the traveling cart but still no red cabbage. I got 4 chickens and named them Fusobels, Proplibels, KFC, and Jollibee. I also bought 100 pieces of hay for their food. Afterwards, I left my axe to Clint to upgrade it to a copper axe. Then, I went down to the mines to collect copper, which I used to craft another furnace that I placed beside the mine's elevator. I defeated the level 80 boss, which gave me 3 yams. Then I went up to level 60 to gather coal. I got level 5 foraging that day and chose a forester profession for more wood. I spent the entire next day in the mines where I defeated the level 80 bug boss, which gave me 2 bouquets. I was also lucky enough to get the Asian seed from one of the bugs. I got my farming skill to level 5 and chose Stealer. I got my combat to level 5 as well and chose Fighter. I earned 925 gold from selling strawberries and red mushrooms. I forgot my animals need water in this mod, so my chicks were left thirsty and I felt bad about it, so I made sure to give water to the chicks this time. It is the last day of spring, so I started prepping my farmland for the next season. I got starfruit seed and melon seed from donating artifacts to Gunther, then I went to Kling to get my copper axe. After that, I crafted all my spring seeds into tea saplings, sold the rest of the forageables, and wanted to craft my quality sprinklers. That was when I realized I have not unlocked the recipe for quality sprinklers, since my farming level is still at level 5 and I needed to be at level 6 for the recipe. So instead, I went to the mines to gather more coal. I decided to be a daredevil and try to kill the boss at level 80. I lost the fight and passed out, losing 2,400 gold and 3 items, including my salad. I contemplated restarting but decided to just have a nice, chill night at the saloon. I went home sad, but at least I earned 15,610 gold that day, 15,000 of which came from the tea saplings. What a better way to start a new season by being reminded of the tax I need to pay tomorrow. The bill increased from 2,560 to 5,395. Thankfully, my chickens are all grown up now and will give me a constant supply of eggs as long as I care for them. I went to Pierre's collecting a grape and a sweet pea on the way. I got 20 hops since this will give me a lot of farming experience to unlock quality sprinklers, 5 corn, 1 tomato, and 1 pepper for the community center bundle, 50 blueberries for profit, and I already had some melon seeds so I did not buy any. I planted and put the speed grow, which I got earlier from the community center, on the hops so I can get experience faster. Until then, I will still manually water all my crops. I still had some time, so I bought more peppers, some salad, and water. I put some basic fertilizer on my crops, watered all of them, and made sure I have scarecrows to protect them. After that, I chopped down trees for wood and made tappers, which I put on the trees at the bus stop. I got 150 gold from my eggs. On day 2 of summer, the dreaded tax came and was deducted from my money. It was already 11 a.m. when I finished with my dailies, since watering the crops took a while. I then gave my ancient seed to Gunther to get the seed and the recipe. I crafted 2 mayonnaise making machines, then went back to the mines and attempted a dino boss again at level 60. This time, I finally defeated it and got 2 void eggs. I got the ghost fish needed for the community center from a ghost and continued mining for coal and iron ore. I got a good haul overall with a diamond and a coffee bean to add to it. I earned 380 gold from mayonnaise, which is more than twice the profit as compared to just selling eggs. Day 31, since I got the ghost fish, I went and gathered my other items and went to the community center to give to some bundles. I donated the ghost fish to specialty fish bundle, hay to fodder bundle, aquamarine, red mushroom, and sunflower to dye bundle, frozen geode to field research, jelly artisan, oak resin, maple syrup, morel, and cave carrot to exotic foraging bundle, winter root crystal fruit to winter foraging, grapes and sweet pea to summer foraging, and finally, blackberry and common mushroom to fall foraging. I spent the day foraging, gathering fiber and wood at the train station, mining for gold and more fiber in the mines. After that, I crafted a recycling machine in case I needed to get cloth from soggy newspaper for the bundles. I spent the rest of the night clearing the farm and opening up this bridge using my copper axe. I got some torches and lit up my farm a bit. I earned 1,140 gold from mayonnaise. My daily routine now consists of smelting coppers, taking care of my chickens, getting the mushrooms, making mayonnaise, and watering my crops. This already takes about half a day, and I am looking forward to getting my sprinklers ass up. I am also now eating salad as my constant food supply. While I was collecting wood from my farm, I saw my quarry, and for the first time since starting, collected the ores there. Twitch chat told me to put stairs as pants, and I got a trimmed lucky purple shorts. I wasn't friends with Marnie to get the real purple shorts, so I tried to start befriending her by talking to her, but she kept giggling. I thought she was seeing something funny, but then I realized I was wearing the shorts. I gave her some mayonnaise and spent the rest of the day chopping trees. I was able to clear a portion of my map for a barn before I made another chest for weapons. The farm earned 740 gold from mayonnaise that day. Day 33, I gave my pickaxe for Clint to upgrade to copper. Then bought 20 wheat seeds from Pierre since I remembered I needed it for the bundles. I donated white and brown large eggs to the community center before going to Robin to rearrange my farm. I moved the shipping bin closer to my chests and coop, moved my coop, and built a barn. I then went back to my farm and tilled land for wheat. Afterwards, I crafted some crab pots and put them by the beach. I bought more salad and then went back to the beach and caught a tuna for the bundle. I leveled up my fishing skill to level 5 and got the fisher profession. I also earned 1,513 gold this day from mayonnaise and fish. The next day, I rearranged my farm. My hot peppers were ready for harvest, but my farming skill remained at level 5. I spent the day fishing for the community bundle and was able to catch a sunfish from Town River. I also tried to get a sturgeon from Mountain Lake, but did not see one. I started planting tree seeds at the farm, along the path going to Robin's, and at the train station for more wood supply in the future. I earned 2,595 gold, around 1,600 of which is from hot pepper and mayonnaise. The rest are from mushroom and fish. On day 35, I continued fishing for the bundles and caught red snapper from ocean and shad from Town River. I claimed my copper pickaxe, then went home to gather more items for community center. I gave shad and sunfish to river bundle, tuna and red snapper to ocean fish bundle, and clam to crab pot bundle, before spending the rest of the day collecting coal and fiber. I earned 1,300 from mayonnaise. The next morning, I decided to continue down the mines and reached level 90. There, I got an obsidian edge. I wanted to go to Marnie's to buy cows, but remembered she is probably with Louis since it's a Monday. So I dug around trash bins and got more salad since food supply was running low. I went back to the mines and risked my life to defeat the dust sprite boss at level 80. My hunger and health were getting low, but I defeated it. Unfortunately, I only got 3 magnets as a reward. I reached level 95, then went back to ship my mushrooms, and the crowd decided to be nice and gave me another 1,000 coins. My mayonnaise and mushrooms got me around 1,000 gold. My wheats and hot peppers were ready to be harvested the next day, but my farming skill annoyingly remained at level 5. Marnie is still closed since it's Zumba day, so instead, I gathered materials and went to Robin for silo, but I forgot she is also doing aerobics. On the bright side, I did get a spice berry, which completed the summer foraging bundle and gave me 30 summer seeds. I then decided to make my life harder by planting the summer seeds and extending my farmland a bit. This means more crops to water as part of my daily task. I continued exploring the mines, where I reached level 100 and died. Linus found me, and luckily, I only lost 300 gold, void essence, and 2 quartz. I got 2,500 gold from farming. Day 38, I was able to harvest my hops. And finally, Marnie is open, and I bought 4 cows named Grizzly Bells, Wutsabo Bells, Folio Bells, and konabo bells. I accidentally used all my money to buy salad and I didn't have enough money for a silo. So, I went to the beach where I foraged an oyster and a clam. The crab pot also gave me muscle and I was able to get 196 gold from selling everything to Willie. I proceeded to Robin to build my silo before continuing my journey down the mines. I almost died at level 108 but luckily found the stairs down to level 110 where I almost died again from a giant slime. Fortunately, I was able to make it home safe this time. Then I crafted the bee house. I earned 1,600 from mayonnaise and mushrooms, which are now my consistent sources of income. I have now added taking care of my cows as part of my daily routine. The hops will also now give harvest every day and this finally bumped my farming level to 6. By the time I was done with my routine, it was 11 a.m. I went down to the beach for the luau festival. I wanted to put mayonnaise in, but the game did not allow me, so I ended up putting hops. The governor thinks it's an average soup and I'll take that. It might have been worse with mayonnaise, to be honest. I smelted some ores to prepare for sprinklers and chopped down trees before bed. As expected, I increased my farming skill to level 6. Day 40, I got cloth for the bundles from Soggy Newspaper. I did my dailies and I was in the middle of harvesting hot peppers when I remembered to craft quality sprinklers. I crafted 16 and placed them in their designated spots. I continued to harvest my hot peppers, hops, and tomato, then continued doing my dailies. I kept the hops so I could turn them into mead once I have kegs. Afterwards, I went to Marnie to buy milk pail and hay. The traveling cart still doesn't have red cabbage for me, so I spent the rest of the day collecting fiber, wood, and collected items from tree tappers. Since I did a lot of deforesting that day, I planted more tree seeds before heading to bed, earning around 2,000 gold from crops and animals. It was raining the next day, just when I already have sprinklers for my crops. Oh well. I crafted 2 cheese press and placed them by the barn before harvesting my coffee, melons, and hops. Unfortunately, I only got 1 gold quality melon, so I needed to buy more. Since we were experiencing a thunderstorm, I crafted 5 lightning rods and placed them near my crops. I then went to the community center, donating a bunch of things. Tomato, hot pepper, melon to the summer crops bundle, red mushroom to exotic foraging bundle, earning me 5 plates of autumn's bounty, crop to crop pot bundle, hay to fodder bundle, oak resin to enchanter's bundle, purple mushroom to field research bundle, and finally, maple syrup to chef's bundle. Afterwards, I sold some items to Pierre and bought 45 more melon seeds. Then planted those back at the farm. The crowd gave me another 1,000 gold, bringing me a few steps closer to one of my goals. I tried to eat Autumn's Bounty and found out it was a bad food supply. It only gives plus 15 fullness to my hunger bar. I then got 2 more melons since I was annoyed at the empty spaces on my farm. I went back to place additional sprinklers and the extra seeds. I put basic fertilizer on the melon seeds to ensure I will get gold quality ones for the bundle. Since I already had sprinklers, I extended my farming area a bit to plant some coffee beans. I continued clearing my farm while waiting for more quartz. Then I crafted 1 more quality sprinkler for the coffee beans. The next day, I checked the mail and accepted the quest to fuel Pam's addiction. Then I gathered battery packs, wild honey, and harvested blueberries. After the rest of my dailies, I went to the community center and donated cloth and wild honey to the artisan bundle. I also completed the summer crops bundle and got another quality sprinkler. I immediately placed it at my farm, planting 8 summer wild seeds from one of my chests. Since all my crops have sprinklers now, I took this opportunity to upgrade my watering can to copper. After that, I went mining and finally reached level 120. I earned 8,500 gold, around 8,000 of which is from blueberries. On day 43, my cow started producing milk, which I processed into cheese right away. I harvested hot pepper, hops, and coffee beans. Then I went to the mines for copper ore, fiber, coal, and iron ore. I made 1 more furnace and brought home the one I had in the mines for easier smelting. I got around 2,600 from my harvest and dailies. Day 44, I harvested my summer forageables and crafted 40 more wild seeds, which I planted again on the empty plots. I was able to craft 14 tea saplings from the rest of my wild seeds. Afterwards, I cleaned my watering can from Clint before heading to Pierre to sell my animal products and tea saplings. I used the earnings to buy 64 radish seeds and 8 poppy seeds. I was starting to realize that I was already near 50% done with my challenge and I might not meet my goals, so I decided to finally learn how to do animation canceling. It was easier than I thought, but I definitely could get more practice. It was already 8 p.m. when I finished planting and watering all my new crops, even with animation canceling. I made sure I had scarecrows. Then, I proceeded to sell some of my extra items, gems, and things I didn't know what I was hoarding for before heading to bed. I earned almost 12,000 gold from all of these miscellaneous items, which is a pretty good haul. Day 45, I caught a tilapia and a pufferfish from the beach. I also got sturgeon by the mountain lake. I donated all of this to the fish tank bundle. I got 5 beach totem from completing the ocean fish bundle and a dressed spinner from completing the lake fish bundle. I remembered I needed to court someone for marriage, so I got some beer and pizza for Shane since he seemed to be the easiest to marry with the time constraint that I had. That day, I earned 10,000 gold, 7,500 of which is from tea saplings. Day 46, I got plenty of harvest from my blueberries, poppers, and hops. After that, I cleaned my steel axe and asked Clint to crack open some geodes. I donated the artifacts I obtained to the museum and got 9 pumpkin seeds as a reward. I then started to trek to Robin's for a house upgrade. I wanted a kitchen in the hopes of being able to cook cheaper food than salad. But of course, Robin's store is always closed whenever I need her. So instead, I went to Pierre and bought 56 more radish seeds and planted all of it. I chopped down more trees before heading to bed, earning almost 11,000 gold. Day 47, I got a large cow milk, which I gave to the community center. Robin's store is finally open and I asked her to upgrade my house. After that, I went to the mines and died from a boss again. I only lost 4,200 gold and no items, so I was relieved that I did not need to restart my day. However, someone from stream chat redeemed my channel point redemption to restart my day, so I still had to. I did everything again, but this time, I remembered to do a couple of things I almost missed if I did not restart. I was able to give Shane beer. I completed the crab pot bundle, which gave me 3 more crab pots. I bought apple and pomegranate saplings for the community center, and I was able to check the traveling merchant. There was still no red cabbage for me though. I placed crab pots at my farm before going back to the mines. This time, I learned my lesson and avoided boss fights and just focused on finding ores before calling it a day. Day 48 was an uneventful day, which I spent mostly chopping down trees. Day 49, I harvested my hot peppers and forageables. I crafted more wild summer seeds from the forageables and converted the rest to 15 tea saplings. I checked the traveling cart and still did not see any red cabbage or seeds. That day, I got level 8 farming, which meant I can start to craft kegs. I earned 11,000 thanks to tea saplings. My house upgrade finished the next day. I harvested plenty of honey, blueberries, hops, and radish before trying to cook some dishes in my new kitchen. I cooked and ate fried eggs, which gave me plus 20 fullness. I did some math and concluded that eggs are more economical to sell than use as food for my hunger bar. I tried the same with omelets and got plus 50 fullness, arriving at the same conclusion that I should just continue eating salad. I sold my earlier harvest to Pierre, earning me around 18,000. Then I bought 63 more radish seeds, which I planted on my farm. Afterwards, I gave Shane a beer before going to Robin's for a barn upgrade. I spent the rest of the day down in the mines before calling it a day. Day 51, I woke up to a letter informing me that my tax and bills for summer amounted to 19,662 gold. I harvested my summer forageables and poppy, then crafted 7 kegs. I put crystal fruit and hops inside the kegs before visiting Shane and giving him a beer to inspire him to work hard. I then went down to the mines where I killed a bug boss that gave me 2 duck eggs before I continued to gather fiber. Afterwards, I crafted 3 fertilizers and turned all my forageables into as much tea saplings as I can. I ran out of fiber and I also needed more wood, so I put fertilizers on the trees before going to bed. I earned 17,000 that day, 13,000 of which is from tea saplings. I got a huge harvest of peppers, hops, and radish the next day. I chopped down trees for wood and went to Robin for another barn upgrade since I needed pigs for the community center. Then I went to Shane before going to Marnie's to buy 2 goats named Butcher Bells and Nini Bells. I also got 100 more hay. Afterwards, I gathered fiber from the mines where I got 1 piece of explosive ammo from defeating a level 20 bug boss. The farm earned 12,000, majority from crops and artisan goods. Day 53, George wanted some hot peppers for his niece and I accepted this quest. I harvested my melons and got more than enough gold quality for the bundle. So I gathered my other items and went to the community center where I donated Fiddlehead Fern and Poppy to Chef's bundle, Duck Egg to Animal bundle, Gold Quality Melons and Corns to Quality Crops bundle, Yam and Corn to Fall Crops bundle, and 10 hardwood to construction bundle. I said hello to Shane before going to the train station to gather materials and to plant more trees with fertilizers. I spent the rest of the day gathering more fiber and ores down the mines where I got more duck eggs from a giant slime boss. I earned 11,000 from my harvest that day. Day 54, my daily routine now includes stocking and giving gifts to Shane and making pale ale from hops. To earn more gold, I decided to sell all my extra minerals and geodes before harvesting more blueberries. I now have a deluxe barn, so I went to Marnie and bought a pig named Piglet. I tried my luck at the traveling cart again to no avail. After that, I went to Robin since I needed a deluxe scoop for duck feather and rabbit's food. I didn't have enough wood, so I bought some to proceed with the upgrade. I planted more tree seeds, then went down the mines for more fiber. The farm earned almost 23,000 gold that day, majority of which is from farming. The next day, I planted more trees and gathered more fiber. While I was down in the mines, I daringly tried to defeat 2 bosses on level 80 and died. Linus found me, but I lost 5,000 and all my salad, so I decided to restart the day. I did everything again and went back to the mines where someone gave me 1,000 gold. I safely made it back home this time with a good haul of fiber and wood. The farm earned 6,000, 2,500 of which is from the battery packs I decided to sell. For the last day of summer, I got an invite to watch Moonlight Jellies, which I decided to ignore and focused on making money instead. My radish was ready for harvest just as planned, so I went to collect them before giving Shane a beer, which got me up to 2 hearts with him. I still had no luck from the traveling cart, so I went around to chop down trees for wood. Afterwards, I was able to craft 39 tea saplings. I also crafted 2 more cheese press and rearranged my machines a bit. After that, I got hay from the grass and pawned my quarry to get some ores. For the last day of the season, I earned 43,000, bulk of which is from tea saplings and summer crops. Before we continue, if you have made it this far into my video, please consider subscribing for more Stardew Valley and farming games content. At the start of all, I got a letter reminding me of my taxes due the next day worth 40,840 gold, which was more than half of my total money at the time. I prepared my farmland for the new season crops before going to Pierre to buy 8 eggplants, 40 pumpkins, and 8 amaranth for the community center, and 150 cranberries for gold. I still had 35,000, so I thought I can just spend it all, thinking they can't ask me to pay 40,000 tax if I don't have 40,000, right? And so, I bought 106 more cranberry seeds and planted and watered it all with the help of animation cancelling. Day 58. My plan to evade tax failed miserably. Not only did they empty my account, but they will also deduct from my future shipping bin income until I have paid off my 31,000 debt. If I didn't pay the debt by the 16th, my water will be shut off, meaning all my sprinklers for my hundreds of crops will stop working. After wallowing in regret, I put a duck egg on my new coop incubator since I needed duck's feather for the bundle. I needed more sources of income, so I started selling gold bars, which I have never done on any of my previous playthroughs. After that, I fished a tiger trout from the forest river, and it took me a while, but I also got a wood skip from the secret forest. I spent the rest of the day chopping down wood. I earned almost 10,000 for the farm, 1,750 of which were from the gold bars. The next day, Fernhill Services reminded me of my remaining 21,000 debt. To hopefully remove some negative energy, I put up some of the plant furniture I got while fishing in the secret forest. I then did my daily tasks and gathered more gold ores and fiber. At the end of the day, I earned 7,600 to pay my debt, 3,200 of which is from gold bars. Day 60, gathering and smelting gold is now added to my daily routine. I foraged a blackberry, hazelnut, and a common mushroom for the bundles. Then I went to town and unlocked the community quest board, which I was pretty sure I'll just ignore. I made 10 field snacks as alternative food until I am out of debt. But I didn't notice I was starving. I was chopping down a tree when I ran out of energy and I was passing out from starvation. I quickly ate my field snacks and thankfully did not pass out. Afterwards, I tried to sell cheese and mayo directly to Pierre since I needed some cash. I did get some pocket money, so I went to the saloon where I was forced to use my money on beer to gift to Shane. I used the rest of the money for salad. After that, I finally decided to fix the bridge by the beach to get a sea urchin, which I needed for the bundle. I earned 13,000 that day. Gold bars and battery packs gave me a lot of additional income, leaving me with only 522 debt. Day 61, I donated some things to the community center. Tiger trout to river fish bundle, wood skip to specialty fish, fried egg to chef's bundle, sea urchin to dye bundle, cheese and goat cheese to artisan bundle, and hazelnut to fall foraging. I completed the animal bundle with a large goat milk, which gave me a cheese press. Lastly, I also completed the construction bundle, which gave me a charcoal kiln. I was close to finishing the community center, so I went around to catch the remaining fish I needed. I caught a catfish from the town river, and I tried catching a walleye for a while, but to no avail, so instead I went to the beach to catch an eel. I then decided to change location for the walleye and finally caught it from the mountain lake. I donated everything, completing the river fish bundle and night fishing bundle. I was rewarded with 30 bait and a small glow ring. Day 62, I was finally out of debt and was left with around 3,000 in my pockets. I harvested my honey and eggplant, then went mining for gold. After that, I bought a duck named Waddle Bells since the duck egg in the incubator was taking a while to hatch. I spent the rest of my money on salad before going to the mines. There, I got a melon from a boss at level 80, and I continued gathering more gold ore and fiber. My farming skill upgraded to level 10 and I chose artisan. The farm earned 12,000, majority from artisan goods and gold bars. The following day, I did my dailies, then gave pizza to Shane. I finally got a wild plum, which is the last item I needed for the fall foraging bundle. After that, I went to Clint to upgrade my pickaxe to iron. I crafted 3 more kegs and put more hops into it before donating the wild plum to the community center, getting 30 fall seeds as a reward, which I planted back at my farm. I then went down the forest wanting to chop more trees, but I saw Shane and he offered me a beer. I listened to him talk about his life while I drank my free beer. I continued my work under the influence of alcohol until bedtime. I earned 9,000 for my farm. The next day, I accepted the quest from Linus to find his basket. My amaranth and cranberries were finally ready for harvest. I got more than 500 cranberries for this harvest. And of course, just 2 days after I already bought a duck, the egg in the incubator hatched. I named this one Waddles. I went to Pierre and sold all my cranberries and got around 50,000 gold. I had a few empty plots, so I decided to buy 8 fairy seeds so I can get some fairy honey. I also bought 45 grass starters since my pigs were fully grown. I placed some grass by my barn and got a truffle from my pig after a few seconds. I then planted the fairy seeds before going to Robin for a deluxe scoop upgrade. I then delivered the beer to Shane, which bumped my relationship with him to 3 hearts. Afterwards, I went back to my farm to cook mackerel. I also grabbed the wine I prepped for the bundle, then I headed to the community center. I completed the chef's bundle and got 3 pink cakes. I also donated wine to the enchanter's bundle and eggplant to the fall crops bundle. I then caught a chub from the mountain lake and donated it to field research bundle. Finally, I donated money to the vault and got 3 chocolate cakes, 30 quality fertilizers, and a lightning rod. Day 65, I crafted an oil machine to make truffle oil for the bundle. Then I cleaned my steel pickaxe from flint. I wanted to see what other rewards the mod More Difficult Mines will give, so I went down the mines to slay some monsters. I defeated a giant slime at level 60 for 1 piece of basic fertilizer. A bug at level 100 gave me a star drop, and at level 110, I got another piece of basic fertilizer, which even bugged out and disappeared from inventory, so I went back to level 60, where I got a crystal dagger with the slime boss just chilling at the side. I was determined to continue this venture, so I went down to level 80, where I had a long duel with a dino boss for 2 pieces of coal. I decided it was time to stop, so I just continued mining for gold and fiber. I crafted the bee house back at the farm and placed it near my fairy rose before calling it a day. I earned around 13,000 majority from farming. Day 66, the crowd decided to take away 1,000 coins from me, but that did not stop me from buying a rabbit called Thumper from Marnie. I said hi to Shane for inspiration before I went back to my farm to expand my farming area more. Unfortunately, the store is closed since it's a Wednesday, so I couldn't buy any seeds. I was desperate to get something good from a boss in the mines, so I went back but only got 2 coals from a dino boss at level 80. I earned 11,000, majority from artisan goods. The next day, I harvested my eggplants and I was able to craft 5 tea saplings from fall forageables. In town, I said hello to a very snub Shane before heading to Pierre where I sold my eggplants and tea saplings. This gave me enough money to complete the vault and unlock the desert. I got Crystallarium as a bonus item. I went back to the mines where I defeated a dino boss at level 80, which had the audacity to give me basic fertilizer again. At least I got a diamond from that trip, which I put in the Crystallarium before sleeping. Junimos repaired the bus while I slept, earning 11,000. Day 68, I bought 112 pumpkins to fill up the extra farming space I prepared. I got busy with farm work that I forgot about the traveling cart until it was too late. I could just pray it didn't have the seeds I needed that day. What other way to end the day than to have my future spouse telling me that my harvest tasted awful? I slept feeling like a failure as a farmer, but at least I earned another 10,000. Day 69. Time to harvest cranberries again. I got 500 plus of total harvest, which I all sold to Pierre for 47,000. I decided to get bombs for easier mining and accidentally spent all my money for 71 bombs and 16 mega bombs. I continued down the mines, completely forgetting my bombs, and gathered more gold and fiber. I earned 17,000 mostly from farming and selling minerals. My pumpkins were ready for harvest the next day. I harvested 40 pieces, 10 of which is gold quality, which is more than enough for the bundle. The forageables were also ready for harvest, and I crafted those into wild seeds and planted again. I then sold majority of my harvest to Pierre, earning around 14,000. I used my money to buy another set of 40 pumpkin seeds. After that, I went to the community center and completed the quality crops bundle and got a preserves jar. I also completed the fall crops bundle and got a bee house. I reached 4 hearts with Shane this day by giving him beer. I checked, but there was still no red cabbage from the merchant, so I just went to the desert to catch a sandfish. I then decided to do some of my long overdue quests. So, I went to the saloon where I mistakenly gave hot peppers to Louis instead of George. I mean, well, they are both old people, right? At least I was able to give Linus his missing basket. I went back to my farm to craft 25 tea saplings before going to the community center to complete the specialty fish bundle. I got 5 dish of the sea and I completed everything from the aquarium, so the Junimus removed the glittering boulder while I slept. I earned 19,000, majority of which is from tea saplings. Day 71, I harvested a few pumpkins before I gave Demetrius melon for 550 gold. I then tried my luck in the skull cavern, utilizing the bombs I bought. I got lucky and was able to jump down several shafts, but I pushed it too hard and died at level 69 from my own bomb. I was billed 1,000 and lost a couple of things, including my sword. I went to the salon to chill. There, I gave Pam a pale ale for her quest, and I also gave a beer to Shane, who was finally warming up to me. My mining skill increased to level 10, and I picked a blacksmith profession since I was selling gold bars for profit. That day, I earned 13,000. The next day, I got a letter from Mr. Chi challenging me to go 25 levels deep in the Skull Cavern. I already reached level 69 and I didn't want to go back, so I just went to the normal mines to gather golden fiber. I got unmilled rice from level 80 boss this time. I swear the game only gives me the worst rewards. I just ignored all the other bosses and focused on getting gold bars and fiber before going to bed, earning 8,000 gold. Day 73, as expected, I got 10,000 from Mr. Chi from accomplishing his challenge. I was finally friends enough with the Waddle Bells and they gave me a duck feather. Then I finally remembered to donate the truffle oil to get a keg and unlock the greenhouse. I also donated the duck feather to the dye bundle. After that, I gave pepper to George, the correct person this time. The Junimos built my greenhouse while I slept, earning 17,000 from artisan goods and gold bars. My cranberries were once again ready for harvest the next day. After picking my berries, I bought more mega bombs and bombs from the dwarf so I can test my luck again in the Skull Cavern. I made it to level 31 before I passed out from a serpent. I was charged 1,000 gold and lost a couple of items including all my bombs, so I restarted the day. I did my dailies again, but this time, I went to Sandy to buy some starfruit seeds for my greenhouse first. I spent all my remaining money for deluxe speed grow. I got stupidly courageous and went down the Skull Cavern again with all my seeds. Fortunately, I made it all the way to level 30 without dying before heading home with good loot. I did not have much time until 2 AM, but I crafted and placed sprinklers on my greenhouse. I was able to plant a few starfruit seeds with deluxe speed grow before I went to bed, earning 7,000 gold. Day 75, I got a letter from Caroline requesting a pumpkin for Spirit's Eve. I accepted the quest before I continued planting the rest of my starfruit seeds and fertilizers. I got my first harvest from the pomegranate tree, which I donated to the Enchanter's bundle. I still had no luck from the traveling cart that day, so I just slept early, earning 22,000 from farming and tea saplings. Day 76, I got my first harvest from the apple tree. After my dailies, I gave Caroline a pumpkin for her quest and earned 500 gold. I then spent the rest of the day down the mines collecting ores and crafting materials. The farm earned 8,500. Next morning, it was a Sunday, so I went to the traveling cart to check, but I still had no luck. I was able to harvest my forageables and craft 35 tea saplings from it, which resulted to a whooping 22,000 income that day. I also reached 5 hearts with Shane by giving him more beer. Day 78, I finally had enough apples for the bundle. I gave Shane a beer before heading to the community center to complete the fodder bundle. I was rewarded with a heater, which I put in the coop since I still needed rabbit's food. The farm got 12,000 from that day's harvest. Day 79, I saw that my tax and bills now amounts to 250,000 gold. Luckily, my cranberries gave me another harvest, which bumped my farm earnings to 50,000 that day. Days 80 to 83, I had 759,000 total earnings and was only waiting for a rabbit's foot, red cabbage, and the start of winter so I can complete the community center. I spent the next day tending to my crops and waiting for my harvests, remembering to say hi to Shane, of course. I added a couple of mayonnaise making machines to earn money faster. I earned almost 150,000 from these days, bulk of which is from my pumpkin harvest, gold bars, and tea saplings. I also got a little extra push when the crowd gave me 1,000 more coins. I got one less harvest from my cranberries during the last day of fall. I checked the traveling cart, but it had nothing good for me. It was then that I remembered that the mermaid's pendant will not appear on winter, so I needed a rain totem if I wanted to marry Shane. I put 3 tapper on pine trees for pine tar and I got some hardwood. However, I accidentally sold my truffle oil, which I did not notice until later. I earned almost 50,000 that day. It was the first day of winter and I have not yet completed any of my goals. I was just 41,000 gold away from getting 1 million total earnings. However, I was not yet lucky enough to get the red cabbage or its seeds from the traveling cart. I also now needed the truffle oil from the cart since my pigs will no longer produce truffle during winter. Shane was not my boyfriend yet, but I needed to gather rain totem materials for the mermaid's pendant while I continued to court him. To make things worse, I got a letter reminding me that I had to pay 420,000 tax, but I only had 316,000 gold. Luckily, some of my star fruit were ready for harvest. I crafted 3 more kegs and I put regular quality star fruit inside. I then decided to craft 5 more kegs but put hops inside those. Afterwards, I foraged a crocus from the bus stop before gifting Shane a beer, which raised his heart to level 6. I proceeded to the beach where I picked up a nautilus shell and digged up a snow yam. I then went to the community center where I completed the field research bundle, which rewarded me with a recycling machine, and the winter foraging bundle, which gave me 30 wild seeds. After that, I went to Sandy to replenish the starfruit seeds in my greenhouse just to ensure I reached my 1 million gold goal. I also planted the winter seeds I got from the community center. I wanted to get my foraging up to level 9 for the rain totem recipe, so I spent the rest of the day chopping down trees and replanting them with tree fertilizers. I slept while the Junimos repaired the quarry bridge and I got around 10,000 from my animal products. Second day of winter, my animals started to get sick, and I honestly did not know why. Maybe from old age? As expected, all my money got taken for tax and I was 125,000 gold in debt. I gave a beer to Shane before spending the rest of the day chopping down trees and collecting ores at the quarry. I earned 36,000 from artisan goods and gold bars. I didn't realize that the money taken by Fernhill Services was included in the farm total earnings. But I am not complaining because on Winter 3, I was able to get more than 1 million total earnings for Hardcore Farm, completing one of my goals. I continued chopping down trees and I reached foraging level 9, which means I could craft a rain totem. Day 88, I finally got a rabbit's foot from Thumper. I wanted to figure out why my animals were sick, so I bought a heater from Marnie to see if this will cure them. I also bought an auto grabber to make the last days of my challenge life easier, which I put inside the barn. Day 89, I harvested the 5 pine tars needed for the rain totem. I still had no luck for red cabbage or truffle though. My daily tasks for the rest of the challenge included befriending Shane and checking the traveling merchant for truffle or red cabbage. Other than that, I slept my days away. On Winter 9, I finally reached 8 hearts with Shane. I immediately bought bouquet from Pierre and asked Shane to be my boyfriend, to which he happily agreed upon. On Winter 14, a lot of my animals died from illness. I think they died of old age. It was definitely not from neglect, right? Unfortunately, the traveling cart did not give me the items I needed until the last Sunday of my playthrough. I decided to continue until day 100 since the traveling cart appears at the night market. The night market starts at 5 PM, so I passed the time by trying to make my farm a little more presentable than it is. I put down some pathways, rearranged my machines, and my house furniture before going to the night market. At last, the red cabbage seeds appeared during my second to the last day of the challenge. On the last day, I did a little ritual to help with my luck on the traveling cart, which sadly did not work. I also was not able to get a rain totem nor get my heart level with Shane to level 10. I spent the remaining time decorating my farm, putting down more pathways, placing some statues and torches around the farm, and furnishing my house a little bit with things I got from museum rewards. My challenge ended with only 1 goal fulfilled, but I had a lot of fun doing this run. The thirst and hunger meters were no longer a problem after I got a steady source of income, but it made my early days considerably harder. The taxes mod proved to be more of a challenge than I thought though. Have you completed any Stardew Valley challenge? I would love to know about it in the comment section. In the meantime, check out this video about the most cursed mods I have found for Stardew Valley.